All right, let's do it.
Let's begin.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is the first episode of the Amatoria Podcast. I'm Justin Dong, and I'm here with my co-host, Marvin, Alan. This is our... Well, we've had a couple of false starts, shall we say. And we're here today to talk about love, relationships, dating, being single, being in a relationship, all of it, the intimate aspect of the human condition. And a couple topics we will cover. Nice guy syndrome, sexual shame, approach anxiety, fear of rejection, the call to adventure, to go travel the world, to be your absolute best instead of rotting away in a job that you hate or school. We're not suggesting anything. We're just sharing our adventures, what we learned, and we want this podcast to be grounded in lived experience, not hypothetical, well, you could say this to a girl, or you could say that, but real things that we've done and experienced, and we want to describe it to you. So if we can help turn your 10,000 hours into 5,000 hours, or if you come travel with us 2,000 hours so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did, that's the starting point. So how are you, Marvin? What have you been up to? Where are you in the world? Because this might be their first time seeing you or me.
Yeah, man.
Besides our friends in Amorati.
It's been a while since we were personally connected in Bucharest, in Romania. Since then, I've been to Argentina, and now currently I'm in Rio, in Brazil. Kind of chose to spend the winter here, you know? It's a better life than in Germany, I can tell you that.
It's flipped. It's flipped, though. It's summer.
It's summer here now, yeah. But in Rio, it's summer all year, basically. So, everybody's out in their bikinis on the beach, and they're, having a good time in Copacabana.
Right. Sounds like a nice contrast from the frigid German winter.
For sure, man. Yeah.
With bikini girls everywhere.
I can't even imagine going back now. I mean, the life of Brazil is so different that I fear I don't ever want to leave again. It might be difficult to go back home and face German society again after being in Brazil with samba, funky, quadradinho. You know, it's hard. Oh, yes. It's hard if you remember.
That's where the girls. Where the girls do the four things with their hips.
If you don't know what quadradinho is, stop everything right now and go on YouTube or Instagram
and then go find it
and look up and then
go on Instagram
and then book your flight to Rio.
Go to Brazil.
Yeah, and then book your flight to Rio and come meet me here.
We always say the boys are raised playing soccer in Brazil and the girls were raised shaking their ass. That's just how it goes in Brazil.
It's kind of true, yeah. It's kind of true.
Very smart and educated and intelligent and beautiful.
Everything. But they still know how to dance quadradinho. I went to a student party last weekend, and there were like girls dancing everywhere, like quadradinho. And so I asked some of the girls, like, how did you learn how to dance like that? You know, it's crazy. Like a girl in Germany, I've never seen any girl in Germany dance like that. And she's like, I don't know. It's just like in my genes. You know, it's just like when they're like 5 years old, they just grow up dancing. With funky music and samba and everything.
Yeah.
It's something I think you can never really learn. You just have to be.
It's in their blood.
It's in your blood. Yeah. Just like me, I've got the German. I've got the orderliness. I've got the punctuality. I feel fucking guilty when I'm 5 minutes late. I don't think I don't think I can ever get rid of that. That's right. Anyway.
Well, there's a certain sense of freedom and aliveness, especially in Rio. You were there. I know you were in a different part of Brazil for Carnival, but. Just like even the shyest library girls, glasses, books, knows how to twerk in Brazil.
Yeah.
Don't blame the messenger. That's how it goes.
Yeah, it's part of the culture, and also the sexual shame that you mentioned in the beginning is just it's really non-existent here. It's really not an issue, for women to be judged for their sexuality, to display their sexuality and womanhood openly. It's very accepted and even encouraged in Brazil, as opposed to many other.
You mean women aren't men in Brazil?
Oh yeah, obviously that, you know, and on top of that, not being shamed or judged for being women and being sexual beings as well, which
Wow.
happens a
Yeah.
lot.
Celebrated.
Celebrated,
Well, that's
yeah.
interesting.
Celebrated, yeah.
Yeah. I remember Zan. He was telling us a long time ago, like, it was in one of his talks he gave. The Western world guys are very rigid, polite, stiff, on time, like you said, and afraid and living from the neck up almost. You know, they're not grounded. They're not in their bodies. They're not felt, and they communicate from their neck, and it's all, you know, interrogative, and it's very. This is generalizing, of course. And the Brazilian guys are very forward, and sometimes too much, too macho, too dominant. They can't be vulnerable. And women ask, where are the men that are in between, that are both, that have leadership and vulnerability, as in the Alabaster girl. You have right here. I know you have your copy nearby somewhere as well, Marvin.
Got it.
So that is cool. I am in Utah again, my hometown. Had to visit for some family issues, but we were in Bucharest together before this. Made a daring escape, as you know. And I am writing my book these days at home. Just a quick catch up before we dive in. And it's almost done. I was designing the cover. I showed you the cover. I think you said you liked the picture, but it's, I don't know, it's tough to put your first thing out there, you know. So let's dive in, man.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about sexual shame first and foremost. We hinted at it a bit with you being in Brazil right now, and how that's like almost completely absent there. And for the Western guy that's going there, what is that like? Like, it's almost like you're forced to, because we were there together last year. It's like you're forced to just evolve, right? It's like if you don't make a move on the girl, she just loses all interest and respect for you within the first 2 minutes of seeing each other. You know, what's your experience like there?
I think that's the main point of that is the lack of judgment, you know, on the general judgment of society on everything that's related to sex and display of sexuality, and that's both for women and for men. So also, as a man, you're even encouraged by the women to be overtly sexual, and if you're not, then many women assume automatically that you're not interested in them. So it's a very, it's and I think it's really, I think we're so in most Western cultures. I'm German, so I include myself in that. We're so
Asian American,
right?
Yeah,
we're so conditioned to be afraid to be judged for ourselves, for authentic selves, for authentic sexuality, because it's somehow so repressed. Yeah, exactly. Our desires, our true authentic desires, as a man and as a woman, that it's a part that we need to kind of dig up again, you know, from within ourselves and reclaim. And it's extremely hard to do if you stay within that society. So, you know, building a community, having a community like the Amorati, traveling to places like Brazil, to Argentina, to South America in general, where it's a lot more liberal in those terms, is just a massive step forward. You know, you can do it at home, reading books, watching videos, but it will take you like 100 times as long. You know, if you just could feel it, what it's like embodying that in a country like Brazil.
Yeah. Wow, man. You brought up the Amorati, and another thing which I really like about reading books and watching videos and taking courses will never be the same as just going and traveling to some foreign country and testing yourself. That's worth 10,000 books. There's an old Chinese saying that goes. Interesting. Okay, we'll say more, Marvin. Like, what about your story? Like, where do you come from? What were you like before you were running through Brazil?
Oh, we go all the way back. I don't know when you first. I think we actually
what's the timeline?
Either joined the first conference in Bucharest at the same together. I'm not sure if that was your first conference in 23.
the Amorati conference, the Amorati International Conference, for those listening that haven't heard of us before.
Correct.
It's a, how would you describe the Amorati? And I'll have a go at it after.
I would say it's a collection of men who are seekers, in a sense, who are looking for something more in life. They don't exactly know what it is. It's got to do with women, it's got to do with beauty, it's got to do with living a life that you are truly meant to live, a life that you are maybe too afraid to live. And they gather in Bucharest to commune as brothers and share stories.
Okay. That's as good as definition as any. To me, Amorati, it was founded by Zan Perion and Johnny Saporno. A lot of you guys will know who those guys are, and if you don't, go check them out. They're on YouTube. They were essentially a breath of fresh air that balanced the pickup artist movement, which was well intentioned because guys have no instruction and no good message and for improvement and transformation, right? It's well intentioned. The execution is debatable, but they led a different way of being more instead of doing more, right? So the Amorati to me is, first of all, like we said, there's no good message for men in the world. You look everywhere and it's politics and war and red pill and black pill and these things that have made, like, there's not hope, you know, like men, there's no message of hope, there's no looking forward to something in the future for men. So, and obviously hand in hand with that is the idea that men don't have support. Women are in their relationships, they can talk to their girlfriends, their mother, their sister about all of their problems, and who do men have to talk to? Other guys, their friends, who give them advice. Oh, let's get you laid and drunk. And that's it. And so guys have to deal with this thing on their own. So to me, the Amorati Network is a brotherhood of men that embrace, like, it is a good thing to be a man. You know, even though you start with nothing, you can create yourself out of everything. And to know that, wow, it's okay to have desires. It's okay to want to be more. It's okay to want to date beautiful women. It's okay to want to travel the world and to have people that already are on a similar wavelength to you, that you don't have to explain yourself to. A lot of guys, when you go out, you talk to a girl, your friends will look at you, what are you doing, man? I cannot understand this, you know? So there's a idea in the Amorati that you will never be judged by a brother for going and talking to a girl, even if you fail spectacularly. And as you will find, as time goes along, you get better and better at it, and you'll see everyone that's around you rise up. Especially for a caravan, which we were doing, you know, before we split up. The band is broken up right now. Just to see the exponential progress, the decades of progress that you can make in years or months, just by going and testing what you're made of, talking to girls in the day, in the night, comparing notes with your brothers, if you go home together, etc. So I think it's a brotherhood, and it's something that's very necessary and very missing in this world that we live in. And it's a message of hope for the future, founded by Zan Perion, author of The Alabaster Girl. This is everything you need to know about women. More than you need to know about women, actually. I said a lot.
Sounds very good to me, and accurate as well. Yeah, we're broken up right now,
how long ago did you join the...
We'll be back together soon.
Well, what's your story? Like, Marvin, like, I'm curious if you want to share with the guys listening. Like, what's your dating hero's journey been like? Where'd you start? You know, like, where are you at now? And what did you learn along the way? And obviously we traveled in the middle of that, but like, can you paint a picture for us? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, let me start back before I decided to go and meet Zan, which was always kind of the focus point for me. And I knew about Zan, I'd read his book, I watched a lot of his talks on YouTube. I watched In Search of the Alabaster Girl a couple of times, which is about 50, 60 episodes.
50 episodes.
50 episodes. And I was living in Germany. I was studying law, and I realized, I think I knew it even when I started it, that it was a choice I made more out of fear, and then a choice I made out of desire. And what I mean by that is that I was scared because I didn't know what my future was going to hold, and I was too scared to step into that unknown and into that darkness to find out what my future holds and what I am made of. And I just found that Zen really has a way, that's the way he speaks, that brings out that desire to live that kind of life that I was too afraid of to live back then. So I was actually, when I decided to book my tickets to Bucharest for the first time, which was in 2023, about 2 years ago, I was in Scotland with my dad. I was traveling. I was in a bad place, both mentally and physically. I was not feeling healthy. I was not feeling well mentally. Usually those things go hand in hand. And I remember seeing an invitation from Zan to join the conference in Bucharest at the end of September in 2020. Twice a year.
It was a September conference.
It was a September conference.
Is that where we met?
Yes. That's where we met.
That's where we met. That's where we met in the club, and I met you, and you were gone. That's where you gained your reputation of the ghost. I remember.
Yeah, it might have been there. Yeah.
Let me explain for those listening. Sorry, Marvin. The ghost is the guy that doesn't talk to every girl. He doesn't need to. He just shows up. 1 second. Oh, hey, there's Marvin. What's up, man? Look away. Oh, he's gone. That girl's also gone. Marvin has a reputation as the ghost, and we'll explore this. I'm the machine gun. Please continue. I just want to clarify.
We'll explore
people listening.
We'll explore this at length. So I saw this invitation, and as you know, Zan is all about invitations, and I felt, I don't know why at that moment, but I felt in my heart that I had to accept that invitation and join Zan in Bucharest that month. So it was literally on my vacation with my dad in Scotland that I booked tickets to go to Bucharest in September.
Wow.
For the conference. And since then, I mean, a lot has changed. Being around Zan, his energy, hearing him speak live at the conference, being around the other guys, the other Amorati, being around guys like you, like Stan, some of the other guys we might talk to on this podcast as well. And being around those kind of people, being around the community of people that understands your struggle, your journey, you know, everything that you came there to find out about yourself, has made such a huge difference. And that we went traveling.
Wow.
Argentina, Brazil.
So it sounds like a leap of faith. I mean, actually, it sounds like multiple leaps of faith. You deciding, you know what? I followed this man online for years. I'm going to go see him in person.
Yeah.
To see if he's the real deal or not. That's a leap of faith. While you're on vacation with your dad, you went to Bucharest. And then the other leap of faith is when I gave the most terrible talk at the conference. In 3.5 minutes. Excuse me. Hey guys. I want to invite everyone to come to South America with me. Like a fucking interrogative. Please like me. Whatever. You took that leap of faith and we went to South America together. Which would have been what? November of 23, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
November of 2023.
Correct.
End of the... Which is like almost a year and a half ago, which is crazy to think about, you know? How much has changed since then? You know? Well, sir, please continue. I interrupted you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what call... something... at first, I don't know if you remember, at first I was very hesitant about joining. I think we had talked a couple times until then, and then at one time I went to your place, to Eric's place in Bucharest. We spent all evening there, kind of, you're working on some stuff. We talked a lot of shit, and I somehow ended up booking my tickets to Argentina. the day after, even before you did. So that was a wild choice.
It's funny, Marvin, because you told me this later, but you had already been to Argentina when you were like 16 years old for study abroad, right? And so, but then you want to tell that story about how you tried to bring the culture back, and it wasn't accepted in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, for those who haven't been to South America or Argentina, there's a lot of physical contact involved in everyday interactions, right? There's a kiss on the cheek, 2 kisses, depending on where you are. There's a lot of touching, a lot of gestures, and a lot of warmth. I felt really, really welcome and very loved in Argentina during my exchange year that I spent there when I was 16. And I felt so immersed that when I came back to Germany, I still kept that alive, and I was like greeting people by kissing them. I was saying bye to girls, kissing them on the cheek, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was very quickly beaten out of me in Germany because not in the literal sense, but with judgmental.
What the fuck are you doing, bro?
I was exactly. I was excommunicated from German society, and so I was forcibly reintegrated, you could say, and I lost.
And you resumed your old patterns.
Of course. Of course, I lost that part of myself. I didn't lose it. It was like buried, somewhere inside of me. The part that likes all of those the part that likes all of that warmth and physicality, and it only came back once I really came back to Argentina, and I found that part is actually still there, and it I can bring it back, and I currently I'm thinking the more time I spend around these kind of cultures, the more integrated it becomes in me. And I might even have to eventually leave my native culture in order to find a place in the world where I feel more accepted and welcome.
Wow, that's deep.
How about you? How's your journey been to the Amorati and beyond?
Wow. So I've been in Amorati for 3 years now. 3 years and 2 months, which is amazing to me. I think the format used to be different, but I joined Essentials around October 2021. When did you join? You were later than me, I think.
Could be 21, 22.
Yeah, some around similar times. I had read Zan's book. I came into contact with the Alabaster girl when I was 16, actually. This book. And I don't know. I think the idea, let me start from basics here. I was 15. I met this girl. She goes to Yale now. Maybe she graduated. And she was older than me. Every guy liked her. I thought she was the most incredible thing in the world. And me, before then, I was playing video games. I remember Minecraft, Overwatch, Balloons Tower Defense, all those things, Clash Royale. Anyways, and I was wearing like neon Russell shirts, didn't care about how I looked, didn't care about how I presented myself, didn't care about social skills, didn't care about any of these things. So I went down this self-improvement rabbit hole of generalized self-help. I like this girl, right? So I thought, oh, well, maybe if I do general self-improvement, it'll help me get the girl. That's not the case, right? It's like stoicism, productivity, habits, random, things like this, the whole self-help culture that we live in. Went red pill for a bit. Luckily, only 1 or 2 months. I was in high school, like 10th or 11th grade at that time, and girls were like, Justin, you were so nice before. Why are you being weird? Because I read like some red pill book that helped you understand women, but makes you hate women, as a consequence of that. And I remember watching this one video, and Zan's gonna like this video on YouTube of this guy doing a book review for the Alabaster Girl, and it was like, okay, this red pill book will make you hate women. The Alabaster Girl by Zan Perrin will make you love women again. I remember reading this book, underlining every page, making flashcards. This is right before quarantine with COVID. And it's like, wow, I fucking found the Bible of everything that I was searching for. Of course, I had lost the girl at that point. I was needy, chasing, inviting her to meet me outside the Chinese classroom to give her crepes, and I had never cooked before. This is me doing things only for a girl that I didn't even want to do, just to make her like me more. And you later find out it's much more simple than that. And then joined the Amorati, went to college, was still bad with women. I don't know, I'm dragging on a lot with this story. And women always liked to be around me, and they never were turned on by me or aroused by me, you know? And I think that really started to change after seeing, well, Johnny Saporno was a big help for that. And traveling the world, that really shows you, wow, this is amazing. Like, you can actually be yourself. You can be direct, you can be sexual. Of course you're a nice guy, you're already kind, you're already a good person, you'd never let anything bad happen to the girl. It took me a long time to realize, wow, okay, I can say what I'm feeling to her. Wow, you really turned me on. You can say this to girls. Wow, there's so many things I want to do to you. If you were my girl, you know what I would do to you? You can say these things, and it's true, and it's what you feel, and you're not hiding anything, and girls can tell immediately. You know, so that's a long-winded version of my story. But I would say the real turning point was, one, finding mentors that are the real deal, that walk their talk, that aren't just internet gurus giving you information. Who knows, maybe AI generated it. And chasing a sense of transformation and embodied knowledge, knowledge that's in your body, not just in your brain, which we all have more than enough of. So yeah, I'd say Johnny Saporno and Zan Perrin are my two great mentors. But honestly, man, like, us traveling the world, I don't plan to stop anytime soon. And I imagine the same for you. We have countries to see, cultures to understand, languages to learn, food to try, women to meet.
Well said.
And I think it's a journey of a lifetime. It's never going to stop. And I'm going to keep writing books and become more and more worldly. That's been my goal for a long time. And to be an international lover. Women's deepest, darkest fantasy. Where were we?
Very nice.
We were talking about shame, but I guess we were in paradise. We were talking about our journeys, and I think we both come a long way. It's been 7 years for me. How many years ago did you start this whole process of wanting to understand your relationship with women, and how you move through the world?
Yeah, let me just say, also, that was actually really big inspiration when we met in Bucharest, because back then, I thought you had a way of... I could really feel that you were authentically representing your desire back then, even at the conference, and obviously also to women. And I mean, since then, I feel like you've developed that even more every time that we met again. So, yeah, man, I can't wait until we meet again at some point and travel. Or
man, perhaps for the May conference in Bucharest. You know, I have a funny story for that, because in Bucharest, when we met in May, there's one girl, I'm not going to say her name, she might be watching this. She had a birthday party. She was newly single. She had been interested in me from the previous time, but I had gone with her friend because she had just broken up. I thought she was unavailable, right? Being a nice guy. But instead of just asking the girl, like, are you ready to, let's just get to know each other, you know? Let's see, like, I understand you just broke up. There's no sexual pressure from me. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. And so she had told me she had liked me since May. I went to her apartment. I was physically in her apartment. We got tons of these stories, man. Why do you think a girl lets you into her apartment? It's so that the chance of something happening, you can actually make it happen. I was like, oh, well, I'm a respectful guy. I'm not gonna make it weird. But the reason that you're in her apartment is because she sees you. Well, you have a chance to go further, to escalate, to make something happen, you know. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so fucking done with this feeling. I never want to feel this again. You're just there in your apartment talking for hours when you want to be doing something else. She wants you to do something else. Obviously, she's not going to initiate it for fear of looking easy or looking, this was going on in that time in Bucharest. Eric knows this story too. But I think, so if that can help us transition a bit, and I appreciate what you said, Marvin, about the thing. It means a lot because that's been my journey. That's what I've
like that.
Spent a long time trying to.
That's a super interesting point, right? That's you're using that shitty feeling of not having expressed your desire authentically, even though you've felt it inside, not having expressed that so many times before, using that as fuel. Like as you said, you never want that to happen again, and that's part of what drives you forward, right?
Imagine that feeling, man, and you're exactly right. Feeling blue-balled, feeling shame, feeling I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. I freaking suck. Feeling that, and I think you're just talking about something profound. My theory, and you'll probably agree with this, is that the greatest men with women originally sucked. All men that are good with women, it's learned. Because if you are already good with women, then you would be comfortable and you wouldn't feel the hunger or the fire to be your absolute best. You can say, oh, well, he has something to prove, and oh, he's not being himself. Okay, that's fine, whatever. I think because being bad with women and being ashamed at a more root level instead of just a symptom, like being bad with women is because you have deep internalized shame, cultural shame. You're a guy and that's a bad thing. Repress yourself. Be nice to everyone, which is what girls deal with too, by the way. Girls are told to be nice and polite, But that is the greatest starting point ever, to be bad, to acknowledge it. Okay, up until this point, I haven't been living the life that I want. And to turn it around and become the greatest that there ever was. You can sit and wallow, or you can get to where you want it to be when you're in so much pain. And the difference, it's the same starting point, right? It's just what you want to do, or what you do, commit to doing with your own life. You can either have it always be like this and complain, or do something about it with love.
Absolutely, yeah. And I thought about something when you were talking, that every time I feel this too. I don't express who I am fully out of shame, out of fear, out of fear of rejection, whatever it may be, fear of being judged.
Yeah.
Every time I don't do that, I'm also rejecting a part of myself, a part of who I actually am, and with enough rejection, that part of myself also eventually dies. If you don't take care of it, if you don't accept it, and eventually learn to express it to the world, to women, to everybody you meet, being fully aligned with who you are, being comfortable with who you are, and accepting who you are, and expressing that.
Wow. So you're saying if you don't act on this internal voice that's telling you, hey, go talk to her. Hey, go do what you wanted to do. Hey, chase your dreams. That part dies inside you if you repress it for long enough and avoid it.
Yeah, you're rejecting part of yourself, I believe. Yeah. That's how it feels like.
Wow.
And that part is eventually it's so scared to even show up. It's you're rejecting it. It's okay, I just wanted to say hi, Like, no, you can't do it.
You can't even say hi.
and that I think that part eventually, you eventually lose it. I mean, it won't be gone. It will be simmering, and it will maybe come out in weird other forms of anger or sadness, whatever it may be, because it's a part of you that you have rejected.
Well, that's where weird things come out. That's where grape. That's where that's where pedophiles. That's where that stuff comes from, is because they have all this stuff that's repressed that isn't healthily expressed, so it manifests in these terrible, messed up ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, not a psychologist on pedophilia, but there might be some definitely some expressions of that are that can be very negative if it's
Well, it's just the shadow.
it's the shadow part,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, and the shadow, as Young said, needs to be integrated into the whole. Like if you leave your shadow part, whatever it is, masculinity, your true sexual desire, like all those shadow things that are believed to be shadow things by our modern society. If they're and
Yeah.
like if you go to like tribal people, like more indigenous cultures, they know that this part, the shadow part, needs to be integrated. It's very obvious to them. They have rituals to transition boys to men,
Rites.
like rites of passage.
Yeah.
To commence a new part of life in society. Like all those things are natural in those kind of societies, and we have lost a lot of those things. And yeah, we're doing so at our peril.
And they need to be reclaimed. And that's why you should join the Amorati.
Correct.
If you resonate with this, because we don't want to convince you, this is just our experience and how it changed our lives from this deep, dark place of despair and to, wow, okay, well, if you and I died today, Marvin, if we were on our deathbed today, we got terminal, whatever, died next month, well, like, at least I traveled the world with my friends and tried our best and talked to some girls. Like, that is life affirming. That is something that was worth living for, that is worth aspiring to happen again. So when we're on the road together again in a couple of months, making our vlog, shooting these podcasts, having the girls there with wine, letting our Dionysian unconscious and our genius show while we're semi-drunk on camera, like, this is worth aspiring to. It's worth looking forward to. It's worth living. And I invite the listener to ask themselves, what is that to you? What do you have to live for? It doesn't have to be what we're doing. If you want to, you're welcome to join us. But this is what we're doing. Or go figure it out for yourself. Every man has to answer for himself what gives his life meaning. And he has to go into his darkness to have real transformation. Like you were saying, he has to integrate his shadow. And staying at home in comfort and security is not going to make you reach your highest masculine potential, so to speak. It's going out and testing yourself, whether that's traveling the world, starting your business, talking to the most beautiful girl you see. These are all different. It's the times have changed, but the story is the same, Every man has to go through that. So in a way, I'm glad that we are doing this still. As long as we're alive, this is what I see myself doing, traveling the world with you, with Stan, who we'll have on, with all our other brothers, Matthew, Raphael, all of the good guys that we know, traveling. But not just... And here's my favorite part of the Amorati, is, this guy gets it. This guy gets it. I have no shame to go out with this guy. I can look him in the eyes, and that's a brother right there. And he's not going to mess up this girl for me. I'm not going to mess up these girls for him. It's inclusivity of spirit. It's generosity. And it's great fun. And it's like, this guy will never be weird with women. He will never do anything weird. And I think it's a great energy to be in. Makes your life better as far as I'm concerned. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the community, that's why I'm thinking about the times, we had back in Bucharest, the times I was there with you guys, with Amorati. Like, it's so valuable just to be around that energy. And it's so valuable. I mean, I think it's also worth going out alone and exploring what you're made of, just going out into the winds and seeing what happens. Like, move to Brazil, see what happens.
Yeah.
But there's but there's something really valuable about experiencing that together with fellow brothers that are on the same journey and sharing that through stories, through community, through what we're doing now. That's so much more valuable eventually, and it accelerates your growth as well, being around people that are growing in the same direction as you.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the same path. But you can each have your own place in a city, if you want privacy, because I know you like to have your own place, Marvin. I think we touched on something, though. I'd like to get back to it. And we alluded to this, and that's the idea of the call to adventure, hearing the call. In a mythic framework, in Joseph Campbell's framework, in the dating hero's journey, the hero's journey as applied to dating and relationships, I'm sure that every man has some voice in him that tells him, that wants him to be his best. You know, that a voice that tells him, wow, there's got to be more to life than this. My job, my career, it could even be an unsatisfying, safe relationship that a guy, and it goes both ways for men and women, that one of the people is just in because they have nothing better. And if something better that came along, they would leave. But, it's better to be with someone than just to be alone, you know? And how is that acceptable? You know, I mean, I don't judge, but there's just something that it is in the heart of a man that is wild and wants to be free and to be his best, and that is the call to adventure. You know, and very few men answer that. Very, very few men are brave, and because it's a scary thing, and no one teaches you how to live life, and that you have to go through this to evolve and to transform it. So that's a very poor way of saying it, but I think that's the concept, is the call to adventure. Many are called, few are chosen, as Zan says. And the consequences, as you described, sorry Marvin, are this spirit, you dying. Like Henry David Thoreau, the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation, and you can add a subpart, because they didn't follow their dreams when they had the chance to. Right? You were going to say, I interrupted you.
I was actually going to say exactly that. I was going to quote Thoreau, obviously. So well said. Yes. Yeah, I think there's a.
So that's the idea.
That is the idea. I think there's a great awareness, and hopefully maybe we help instigate this kind of awareness in somebody who's listening, to be aware, of how you feel, because there are calls of adventures that are coming your way almost all the time, but you might not be in the right state of mind, the right position, the right physical state to act on those calls. But if you're aware that these calls exist, you might be listening. You might be able to hear those calls, more clearly, and then you might as well have the courage afterwards to follow up on those calls and take a chance on something unknown. And I think that's what you were just talking about, just touching on.
Well, this came up when you were talking, man. The idea is, there's an old Chinese saying, it goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now, And that applies to what we're talking about, because you can't do anything about those opportunities. Your inner voice, your true self, that wanted to be different, for example, that wanted to be better, to be special, to be unique, to be excellent, to be great. Men want to be great, women want to be loved, right? But what you can do is change your life right now, and not to delve into generic self-help, but you can change your life right now. It's in your mind, okay. And the great thing, and why I'm so appreciative, and maybe you feel the same, to Zan, to Johnny, to Christopher, to these mentors of ours, is that they walked the path before us. They cleared a bit of the debris, the bit of the vines in the forest, to illustrate and illuminate the path for us, to show us what was possible. And just by knowing, just having that awareness, wow, this is possible, Zan inspired me to travel the world, And Casanova inspired Zan. And I'm sure Casanova had some guy that inspired him to live the way that he did, And there's this legacy and this lineage that I hope, even if we can do it at a small effect, if this podcast even helps one guy, then I'm happy, Because that's one guy that's more free, that's more, you could say empowered, but that's a weird word, that's more alive. Most men just live. Most men just exist and never really live. There's a quote I remember reading. All men have a kingdom within themselves, but most are too afraid to sit on their throne. And I think that applies. It's not just about girls. But obviously girls is a very cool part of this adventure. And so where were we? How did we get to this point? We were talking about what? Well, actually, I have another thought on this because I'm gonna say this because I wrote this in my book. A moment's true intensity is worth lifetimes of quiet survival. That is you on the forefront of your capabilities. That is the conquistadors. Okay, this is a messed up example. Going through South America, that is man exploring new continents, new frontiers, space, and beyond. That is man's desire to explore. That is him feeling fully alive at the edge of life and death, you could say. Because anything less than him pursuing that is a kind of death. And it's also true in another sense, to a woman, to be with a man that's liberated himself, a pirate, or an artist, or a poet, a ghost artist, as you are, Marvin. A moment with you, who is true, is oftentimes, this is not true for all women, worth more than 50 years with some guy that only focuses on security and comfort. As you walk the path of a lover. Which is, you could say the dating hero's journey is to go from nice guy with sexual shame to a legendary lover that a woman will never forget about, that she will always cherish in her heart, even if she no longer ends up with you, that perhaps no man will ever fill that hole in her heart because you were so profound for her. This is speaking in extreme terms. This is one example of a dating hero's journey. One I hope to one that I am on, because the journey never ends. I spoke a lot. I don't know if any of that made sense.
Yeah, actually, that was. I'd like to hear more about that. The what do you think that part is in the mystique that a man like that represents? Which part of a woman's psyche does that speak to? What is that part that is missing in so many encounters she has with other men?
Wow, very interesting. So in the Amorati, we have this concept of the man of escape. What this is explained in simple terms is life sucks. Life is boring. For women, they have to be nice. They go to jobs they hate. They don't want to be at a job. They just want to exist and flow and be free and feel the depth of their experiences. But then they have to be professional, masculine all the time. And so when a man like you, Marvin, or Zan, or Stan comes along, it's a welcome breath of fresh air in their otherwise very ordinary, and it's like existing versus living, like we talked about, right? And there's a psyche, there's something you asked about the psyche of a woman, and as in my estimation, there's something in the heart of a woman, in the soul of a woman, between the legs of a woman, that is aching for a different experience, because everything that she sees is so boring and so ordinary and so standard. Like, what happened to the prince riding in and saving her, the princess from the castle? This is old, archaic terminology. But it's like that line from Hitch. No woman wakes up in the morning and says to herself, I don't want to be swept off of my feet today. Women are romantic, and they have this deep in their heart, and they've wanted the same things as they wanted since they were little girls. I'm quoting from Alabaster Girl. And that's never changed. They just want to be romanced. They want to be taken on an adventure. They want to be loved and cherished. And that's it, So, and they're not getting that in everyday life, which is go to your work, go home. The men in the bar don't talk to you unless they're drunk, or they're too scared to approach you because society's told them that they can't do it. So it's not okay to blame men either. Both sides need to, step up. So it's interesting. I don't know if that paints a picture.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about this, Marvin?
Very well said. I think I'll have to give this some more thought. But I found it very inspired the way you put it. I thought that was very well put. And
well, here's the thing though, none of this is new, and I'm sure guys are getting girls way before Zan or Casanova or anyone for thousands of years. But we forget these things, We forget the wisdom of how a man meets a woman. And something so simple, it's not easy, right? It's simple but not easy. It's lost in this generation. And I think because we've been a bit down this path, if we can share any insights that help anyone that has a sincere heart that wants to go along this path, then we're happy, It's
Yeah.
and help you the listener, avoid any unnecessary heartache, trying things that don't work, trying techniques and external things that are incongruent, inauthentic, because it's not who you are, as opposed to, okay, let's work on yourself from the inside. Let's fix your sexual shame. Let's examine the beliefs you have about yourself. In Essentials, the first lesson is the stories we tell ourselves. And we tell ourselves a bunch of stories that don't serve us, that don't benefit us, that don't help us in any way. And that they're just inventions. Like, let's take the example of talking to a girl, right? What are the reasons that guys don't talk to girls? One, their negative self-talk. Oh, she's so pretty. Every guy probably talks to her. Oh, she won't like me. I'm short, I'm fat, I'm balding, whatever. Oh, she won't like me because she has a boyfriend, she has a husband, maybe she has multiple boyfriends. Let's think about some things that you could tell yourself instead. Oh, maybe she's lonely. Maybe she's horny. Maybe she's ovulating. Maybe she's nervous because she hasn't shaved. Maybe she's on her period. Maybe she's spotting. Maybe she's... You can make up any other excuse in your head, and they're all just inventions, so why not make them good ones? This is paraphrasing Zan's teaching. Why not tell yourself, you know what? What if she's been lonely for years, for months, and would love to meet a guy like me? And then, and how does that feel in your mind as you go talk to her? In fact, we invite you, if you're listening to this, go try it this week and comment down below what was that like? To just tell yourself these positive thoughts, not in a generic way, oh, I'm good enough, this. Just the assumptions that you tell yourself, and to go try it, because that's the only thing that matters, is what you actually do, is your actions. Because that's where transformation happens. More books, more notes, more reading doesn't mean anything because your body doesn't know the feeling of it. Right? So, how do we get to this point? I keep losing track.
I think as Zan puts it in his book is a boy asks himself, does she like me? Does she like me? And a man asks himself, do I like her? Do I like her? Yeah. Right? The difference in that is profound.
Well, and I'll take it a step further. What Johnny Saporno teaches is women are either buying or selling. Maybe this is to the more financially minded guys out there. They're either buying or selling. So the moment you start trying to sell her, she's like, oh, I'm buying. Okay, he's trying to prove himself to me. And the same with the Zan metaphor, right? The boys versus men. It's like, okay, do I like this girl? Like, what about this girl do I like? Instead of, let me do a bunch of things that aren't truly myself just to make her like me. That's never going to work, right? So, if you want to buy women, there you go.
Yeah, Johnny's very on point with that, as usual.
Yeah, and here's what you'll realize. Whether you're a more technically minded guy, whether you think more in systems and numbers, because some guys are like that. That's how the world is. Or you're more artistic and more flowy. All the paths lead up the same mountain. Johnny is saying the same thing as Zan, you know? And the principle is the same. The way and the phrasing is different, but all you have to do is find the message that you most align with and then take action on it, right? For us, we really believe in Zan's message, Ars Amorata, the art of love. But there's also, more technical approaches, more personal approaches. I feel personally that ours is more, okay, go travel the world, go be a mighty adventurer, go be a pirate, a rock star, a poet, an artist. Go be all of these things, and the women thing will take care of itself because you're on a journey of a lifetime. You're on the adventure of a lifetime, And so something as trivial, I know, we can get deeper here, but here's an interesting thought experiment, and it's Zan's. You had a father who had a father, and you can trace that back as far as you possibly want. And one of those fathers definitely stood on a battlefield and fought. And he had a kid before he might have died. But he had a kid, and so your whole generation, your bloodline survived. I think about this a lot. And how many other bloodlines perished? Also, you're 1 in 300 trillion, if you know what I mean. the fact that you're here with this ancestry, with this great lineage that came before you, that actually had to go to war, that had to fight battles, that had to really go out there and do things. Oh, but you're afraid to say hello to a girl. You know? It's so interesting to me. And it's almost like you carry the dreams and the hopes of your ancestors, of your lineage, of your heritage, because they live on through you, and you're afraid to talk to that girl. There's different, so like we've been discussing, there's different ways to think about this, right? There's all the roads lead up the same mountain to the top. You find the system that best works for you, and then you take action on it and watch your life change. And come travel the world with us if you dare. I speak way too much, man.
Well put.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm on a roll here. I remember, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Hypnotica. So Hypnotica is a guy who traveled with Zan and Johnny. I never met him. I'd like to. And the frame that he puts on it is, okay, imagine you see a girl you really like. She really draws your heartstrings. What if that girl on this imaginary timeline, what if you didn't talk to her, she would die. She would get hit by a train, by a car, by a bus. She would die if you did not talk to her. And the only thing you would have to do to save this person, because it's funny how we work. We can give great advice, but we can't follow it ourselves. We can help others more than we help ourselves. We can care for others much more than we care for ourselves. All you have to do is talk to this girl, or else she's going to die. Would you talk to that girl? How do you frame these things in the moment in your head? Before, you can talk about the generate your ancestors are watching. You can talk about, oh, the girl's gonna die. You can talk about Johnny's method, successfulness. And the only failure is if you don't take any action. If you go and make an attempt, it is a success because you learn. If you don't take an action, then you just reinforce the pattern of you seeing a girl you like and not talking to her, which makes it even harder to talk to her the next time. And how many times have we all done that? Right? It's all the same thing though. Right? So you have to find which one works best for you. Or make up your own.
I absolutely love this, man. And I can feel your energy and passion just at the same time as we met in Bucharest. Like, you've really... There's a fire there, you know. You've really integrated all of these things and have applied them to your life, and it's really great to see that energy again. You know, you're coming to life to life again.
That's what I think about, man. Like, this is what I'm trying to write about.
I love it.
I think it's like we stand on the shoulders of giants, man. Like, all I can say is I'm grateful for these mentors that we've had, and how many lessons and things that they've had to go through that we don't have to go through. And I'm really excited about what we can build on top of what they've done already. How does it apply to the modern age we live in? How does it apply to AI? How does it apply to OnlyFans? How does it apply to the porn addiction that's global? How does this message of hope that they went through and forged, how do we help disseminate it into the world? And how can we help, you know, what is our role to play in this new age that we live in? You know, so it's very exciting to be a part of something, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That's also a thing with Amorati. How many guys feel like they're part of something?
Yeah.
Like, how many people feel like they belong to something? You know, something greater than themselves. So that's also the Amorati. Yeah,
absolutely. So we invite everybody to check out the Amorati, you know, and join us in Bucharest.
Yes. Yes. Come to Bucharest. Because we don't want to convince you at all. If it feels aligned, we will do nothing to convince you to come. But if this is true for you, if you resonate with this archetype of a man who prioritizes himself over what others think, over what society thinks, come join us. We're in a brotherhood. The invitation is there. If not, no problem, because we're going anyways. And life is good where we are. Even though there's bad things in the world, even though we've had some interesting experiences, some more dangerous than others. It makes you a man. It makes you who you are. It makes a woman look at you and say, wow, there's something about that guy. There's something about this guy that the buttoned up, comfortable, secure, corporate guy does not have. There's something about this guy. Women will look at you and think that. And here's another thing. You will notice, if you see us on camera, that's great. If you can't see us and you're just listening, I'll describe it to you. I'm this pirate. I have face tattoos, neck tattoos, pirate headband, long hair. And Marvin's a German guy. And we both have our own styles, and they both work. You don't have to be some super thing, and it doesn't matter. Like, all you have to do is put yourself out there and find your most authentic self. And there's a phrase that I really like: less is more when it comes to getting girls. Less is more. The less you do, the more true you are to who you are, the easier it is to get girls. Now, that's a bit inaccessible. But if you just simplify, you don't need routines and stories and anything. You just need to know who you are and know what you want. And that's the only thing. For example, and Marvin, I would like to hear your thoughts on this. There's one method that goes, I don't subscribe to this, but I really believe that it works. It's just say what you want. If you want to meet a girl, tell her, I want to meet you. If you want to take her home, I want you to come home with me. And just shut up. Just leave it out there. And if you are nervous and your hands are shaking, hey, I'm really nervous and my hands are shaking because you're really pretty to me. And I want to know you. I want to get to know you. And every guy must be so nervous to talk to you. And then girls, no girl will give you a negative response to that. You know? And so there's a whole lot of things, and we'll go deeper as we go along. This is our first episode, right? But these problems of sexual shame, being a nice guy, approach anxiety, fear of rejection. What if you go home with the girl? What if she actually says yes? A lot of guys don't even pull the trigger. They don't even invite the girl home. She might say yes, but if you don't ask her, you'll never know. And then after that, you'll have the problem. Okay, if she does say yes, what do I do? Do I call an Uber? Do I drive her home? What do I do? How do I escalate? Do I drink? It's a whole world and a lifetime of exploration, you know? And these problems are, they're what we think about. And if we can help in any way, it's great. So I wanted your thoughts on this, Marvin.
Yeah, I think what's so, we're talking a lot about women and dating, obviously, because it kind of compresses all the rest of life into a very specific moment, in a very intense environment. But
well said.
What you said just now is a skill that applies to many areas of life. But the reason that you just described it in terms of dating and women is because if you hone in that part of your life, it really transfers to anything else. It transfers to business, to living your general life, honing a craft. Like, all of those things are so related to that, because just when you're in the presence of a truly beautiful woman, all these things just compress and amplify to such an intensity that you just have to go through that, and then you come out a different man at the end of it.
Wow, that is a beautiful thing, Marvin. You just said. It reminds me of something Stan often says. He quotes Trotsky. I'm quoting our friend quoting Trotsky. He says, "Society is like a woman." And his goal was to make society pregnant. And he seduced society the same way that he seduced a woman. It is the same thing. And so what you said, Marvin, about the same skills apply to business, fear of rejection from everyone, fear of, needed for approval, it's all contained in the simple process of working up the courage to go for what you want, which is in this case what we're talking about, talking to a girl. But it's obviously at a macro level much more than that. But it's the same concept and the same feeling in your body, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
And so, if you're still listening, let us know what problems you have with women and where you are at in your dating hero's journey. Most guys are most likely going to be, I would say 99% of guys have heard the call to adventure and haven't even refused the call yet. Well, actually, no. I would say that's where most guys are, is you've either heard the call and refused it, which is a necessary step in the hero's journey, is to refuse the call initially until the pain gets so bad that you have to take action. I would say that's where most guys are. But if you're more advanced, we're happy to talk about what makes a woman fantasize about you all day long as well, to paint a picture of what is possible. You know, how do you become the best in bed that she's ever had? These things all exist in the spectrum of Ars Morata. We explore these concepts in the Amorati, and they all are part of the art of love that is lost and forgotten, but most guys are going to be at the starting point. And it's just understandable. You have to start somewhere. You just have to acknowledge to yourself that, okay, that was shit, and this is possible over here, and you have to go get it. And the only difference is stepping up and doing it, right? So let us know what you're struggling with women, and where you're at on your dating heroes journeys, and what you'd like us to talk about in the upcoming episodes. We'll try to do one of these a week as we go along, and so we'll start off with story of the week about meeting a girl. Are you at a girl's place right now, Marvin? Or no, are you at your own place?
This is my own place.
Oh, okay. Because you were at a girl's place yesterday. So, you want to tell a story? Like, it sounded like you were with... Marvin was pimping me out from Utah to some Brazilian girls yesterday. He was saying... Some girl texted me on his phone. She's waiting for me. She has, like, Brazilian body and bikini pics and stuff on Instagram. I'm like, I wish I was there right now, brother.
That's why,
but like,
that's why I send you some motivation to come over.
You're like, work harder, and come here already. Well, Marvin, if you want to just close us out, what are some stories? You know, I know you went to Pedra do Sal, the Brazilian street party. I know you met up with some of the natural lifestyles guys. Like, what's Brazil been like, and Argentina? Like, for you, if you want to just tell us some...
it's really hard to convey the energy and intensity of Pedra do Sal. If you haven't been there, you have been, so you know what it's like. And it's all combined in one. Like, it's samba, it's the funky, it's the music, it's the dancing, it's the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, the people are like basically naked all the time on the beach. You know, it's like the sun, the heat, the humidity of the air. It's everything that combines. In Brazil,
the humidity.
It's just this whole assault on the senses in Brazil, and every part of your body, of your senses, on everything that combines to make this creates this I don't know, this sexual molasses of some sort that's just like flowing through the streets of Rio, you know, flowing to the beach, through Carnival, and you can feel it. It's like palpable. It's you go through the streets and it's right there, and you can basically bathe in it. You just go out and you just soak it all in. You bathe in it, and
a lot of soaking in Brazil.
A lot of soaking. And you emerge a different man. My closing thoughts.
So actually, I just had this idea, Marvin. What do you think of this? I just thought of this while you were telling that beautiful story. I'm happy for you guys listening. If you sign up, we'll leave a form in the description. Sign up and get on a call with us. If you're comfortable to have it recorded, we will give you a live coaching and upload it to the channel as one of our podcasts. So you take where you're at in your dating hero's journey, and we will give you the best that we can and try it. But we can't do this for everyone, so the first to do it, obviously, will get it. But let's say we'll do it for 2 guys, and we'll leave a link in the description if this resonates with you, because we want to help. We want to see where you guys are at. We want to see what you're doing on your hero's journeys. If you've heard the call to adventure and have always wanted to do it but didn't know where to start, or if you don't want to go on this path, you want to build a business or do something with your own life, we're happy to hear your stories if this applies to you. So we'll leave a link for that.
All right, man. You want to?
I mean, other than that,
yeah. Add anything else, or we're gonna have some great people on?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, so I'll mention we'll have. Actually, no. We'll do the 2 like we promised. But we are interviewing members of the Amorati, so keep an eye out for that. It'll either be 2 per week, 1 interview and 1 podcast, or it'll just be the main podcast. We're still deciding. But we'll interview the Amorati members, our friends that have traveled to Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Romania, Greece, all these places with us, and join the Amorati, and we'll interview you and see where you're at on your dating hero's journey. And because it's a real vibrant community, it's special to us. It's changed our life, and we can only invite you. It's cheap right now. It's like $99 to join or something. Essentials is free now. Go through the 90-day course. Reach out to Marvin and I on the platform. We'll add a link to join the Amorati in the description below as well. If you want to be in this conversation, every day, if you want to travel the world together, if you want to be, there's actually monthly calls with Zan, I think. But more importantly than that is just what kind of life do you want to have? And how is that different or better than the life that you're currently living? So that's all I want to say. I really like this, I like this
That's
format.
cool.
And
Yeah.
I think just between us, it's casual. It's what we've learned. It's like, if you couldn't tell, this is our lived experience. We'll recommend resources, books, series, mentors. Of course, you should go check out Zan and Johnny. We'll leave a link for both of their channels as well in the description. But the only way to truly transform is to go into hell, go into the darkness, step into the unknown, like you said at the start, Marvin, and to just trust in life. My favorite phrase, it's also in the book. Life is kind to people who are brave. You think if you chase your dreams, and Zan says it this way, God, I'm full of quotations. I've been studying this a lot of research. Zan says, no one that lives under a bridge was ever there because he was chasing his dreams. Yeah, that's it. So, there's a lot to think about. And my invitation to you, and I'll hand it off to you, Marvin, to close us out, is go out this week, go talk to one girl. Go talk to your mother about these things. Go talk to your sister about these things. And if you're really brave, if you're really daring, go talk to one girl. Go talk to one girl, let us know how it went, how you felt, what you could have done better, and we'll respond to every comment. And I look forward to hearing what you guys are up to and what you guys have to say and what you guys are doing in the land of women, because that's what we think about all day.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, Marvin, for you?
No, I perfectly said. I wanted to add that you could try and also listen. Maybe the girl is the call to adventure. Maybe the girl is that. But maybe there's also something else in the back of your mind that's beckoning you, and that is some call that you have been refusing to listen to until now. Maybe there is something like that pops to mind in the next week. So that will be interesting to me.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe and fill out the form. We'll do live coaching for you and put it on the channel if you are so brave. And yeah, that's it, I think. Did we cover everything?
I think we're good.
Okay, so sounds good. Like, subscribe, sign up for your hero's journey, your dating hero's journey consulting, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye guys.